Hey folks, Kevin here with Woodwork Family and woodworkfamily.com. And in today's video I'm going to show you my review on the MAKA 6-in-1 multifunction measuring tool. We're going to go through the tool and see how to set up the different settings. We're going to also take a look at what each of the different tools are that this device can be used for, and as well as other everyday purpose uses for it. So let's go ahead and see what's inside. It comes in this, looks like a hard protective case, really nice quality. And in here we have a stand, looks like a tripod, low profile tripod. And then here we have a stand that will attach to that. And it looks like it telescopes out. I'll have to get a length, a measurement of how high that is in a minute. But as of now, it looks like a decent sized little stand, good quality, made of metal. It's not some cheap plastic, so it's pretty good quality. And then it just lifts up and twists to lock. Maybe a quarter rotation and then a quarter rotation back, and telescopes down. And here is the device. So what we'll do, we'll see if I can zoom in. Try to keep this in the shot. Okay, now it's on. To turn it on and off, I hold down this center button a few seconds and it will turn off, and now I'll turn it back on. And this is a touch screen, so that's one way to scroll. And another way, let's get back to the beginning. Another way is to hit the up and down arrow. So if I'm at the top left, if I go down, it goes one to the right and then down again. And for starters, let's take a look at the function menu. The top option is converting it from feet to meters. So if I want to change it, I will hit the center button, and you see how it highlights right here. Now I can go to meters. So if I hit meters, and then to get out of that choice option, I hit the back arrow, and it brings me back to this main menu. Sound, so if I want to go to the sound as an option, I'll go, now it's making a noise, I'll put the sound on. I was playing around with these functions earlier, I turned it off. I prefer it off, but for this this review I will put the sound on so that you can hear what it says and how it works. And to get out of that option, I just go back. It'll automatically turn off if I choose one of these times or choose no time. I guess that'll keep it permanently on. Here's where I would set the time and date. I am not going to set the time and date right now. It is not September 6th, 2023 at 7:14. So I'm just going to leave it like that. I can worry about that later. And then there's two languages. I will choose English. And then I'll back out of that. And now let's take a look at some of these functions. First we have distance measure.
Distance measure.
And after I choose distance measure, it gives me several options. Single measure would be just a one-time. Constant measure, I guess, if you move, it's going to give you different readings as you move the unit. And then as you put it in a different position, it will give you a real-time measurement in that position. And then we have addition measure, which if you wanted to add two different lengths together, say you want to run a cable and you're trying to figure out the length of the cable, but there may be a turn that it takes, then you would take two different measurements for that and add them together. And then we have area measure, so that would be you go to a corner of a room and you want it to be the X and Y. You will measure from a corner of the room and measure the one wall along that wall, and then measure from that same corner to along the adjacent wall. That would give you the area. And one use for this option would be to measure the square feet of a room, so you can pick out how much flooring material you want to purchase. I will be installing laminate flooring in my basement pretty soon, so I will be using this as an option to figure out how much laminate flooring I need, and we will play around with that a little later. Pythagorean is if you take two measures, it will give you the length of the diagonal. So it uses the Pythagorean theorem to measure what the hypotenuse of a right angle would be, which would be if you gave the measurements of the two sides of a right triangle, it will give you the hypotenuse, which is that angled side on the other, across from the right angle. Volumetric measurement would be the volume of a room or the volume of like a box or something, if you can take the measurement of a box. And then historic record. If you want to save your measurements, you can keep it in the computer on this system and it will save it. I believe there's a limit to how many times you can save it. You'll want to check the instruction manual for that limit and anything about this historic record. Scanning for metal.
Scanning for metal.
So this would be if you...
Metal.
It's like a stud finder but for metal. So if you have metal studs, it would show you where they are.
Metal.
I don't have any metal studs. Scanning for wood beam. This would be looking for wooden studs. We can use that later. We can do that later. Scanning for alternating current.
Scanning for alternating current.
To do that, this green light lit up on the bottom right, and that's because there's a probe here. So you will use that probe to see if an outlet is live or not, and I will show you that later. Next we have horizontal measure.
Horizontal measure.
What this does is it checks the X and Y of a horizontal plane. So like this table, it will show you how many degrees on the X-axis and the Y-axis it is in. So to show you a different way, I'll put it on this, let's use the other box. This one's a little more stable. So now we have it and it'll show you that the X is negative 2.4 degrees and the Y is negative 0.3. And if I were to lift it, it will show you what the angle is. That could be a good tool to use if you're measuring like a table saw blade and you want it to be an exact like angle for your cuts. You can use this to measure that angle on your blade.
Laser line.
With laser line, it has a cross, a plus on the wall straight ahead. So out of the end right here, it's shooting a laser in a plus shape. And the idea here is you want to put it on the tripod and get the X or the Y at exactly 0. So if you were to put both the X and the Y at 0, it's a lot easier on a tripod or a still surface like a stack of books. But when they're at 0, you can do things like hang pictures. It'll show you the exact cross of where the corner of the picture should go and whatnot. But first you would have to get it at that 0 degrees. The X would be the horizontal line and the Y would be the vertical line.
Moisture measure.
For moisture measure, it has these moisture probes on the end. You can't see them because they are inside, but to access the probes, you would push this red button right here on the back. This little thing popped out. These are the probes. You can see how sharp they are. They're actually really sharp. The camera's a little blurry, but what you would do is you would flip it around. Be very careful, these probes are sharp. And then to check the moisture, I'm going to just rest it on my hand lightly, and it shows the moisture reading of my hand. We'll play around with that one a little later. And then last, but certainly not least, we have one attachment in the box to take out. And what we'll do is we will open this side here, and then you would put it into these two slots. And when you do that, you'll notice that another option menu comes up, and that's the thermal imager. With thermal imager, it shows heat. And I know we're kind of close up right here. Let me see if I can zoom you out. Whoops. We'll definitely play around with this one a little more. What I did was I have my 100-foot tape measure on the ground, stretched out from the end of the hall. I will show you in a minute. And I have a stool that I will put the device on. That will give me a pretty accurate measurement of the back edge of the stool is pretty much at the 42-foot distance. So we're going to see if it'll reach 42 feet and possibly. Now at the main menu, we'll go over to thermal, and that's after I put the thermal scanner on the device. So let's see how far it can range. I will click on thermal, and then I'm going to click thermal again. It's initializing, and I have it aiming down my hallway. and I am just going to walk, and you should be able to see me on the screen and how far it will range. As you can see when I'm up close, it takes up the entire screen. It shows you my body. But when I walk down the hallway, I'm down here now. I don't know if you can see me, but I think you can. Can you see me waving? What I'll do here is I will choose single measure.
Single measure.
When it says single measure, it gives you two options. So if you have it like this, oh, I'm sorry, it has three options. The first one, the arrow, would be measuring from the top of the device. Then we have the bottom, the back of the device, which is what I'm going to use. And then we have the middle of the device. And to scroll through that, you just push up. Looks like the down arrow is not working for this toggling through on this function. So I'm pushing up, and now it's on the back of the device. So I will have it set to that so I can line it up with the back of the stool, and then that will tell me what the measurement is, and the laser comes out of this end right here. So I have it at the back of the device. I hit the button the first time, and it turns the laser on. You can see the little laser icon at the top of the device. There's the laser at the end of the hallway. So now I'll hit the button again.
12.824 meters.
We have it in meters. To change that, what we'll do is we'll go to the main menu. Oh yeah, we want to go one more time. We'll go to function.
Menu.
Put it in feet. And then we'll back out of that. Distance measure.
Single measure.
So now
42 feet and 3/4 inches.
it says 42 feet and 3/4 of an inch. And if you look down here right below, it's 42 feet and pretty much 3/4 of an inch. Now we're going to use the scanning for wood beams option to try to find a stud on this wall. But first, for a base mark, I'm going to use my stud finder and see about where the studs are. There's one right here. There's another one right here. And this one has electricity with it also, because there's a power cord, so there's an electric line running along that. Now we will do scanning for wood beams. So to do that, I will first click on the option right here for scanning for wood
beam. Electric wire.
It shows you that there's an electric wire running alongside this stud.
Electric wire.
That's a very nice feature. it shows you that the wood beam is there. I have it off of the beam right now, so it's just on the void. And as I go through, as it gets closer and closer, you can see the bars going up. Let's try it again. You see the bars climbing up.
Wood beam.
There's the wood beam.
Electric wire.
And there's electric wire in there. So it shows you both. Now let's scan for alternating current. To do that, I will hit the scanning for AC on the bottom right here.
Scanning for alternating current.
And then I will, now that the green light is showing up, that means that it's ready to scan, which also means that it's ready for us to access the probe. To do so, we will just slide this lever right here, slide it out. The probe will show up, but I recommend holding the lever so that the probe does not push itself back in. If I were to just push it towards the wall, it will come back in. Unfortunately, it does not have a locking mechanism, which would be a nice feature for the next version of this device. So to fix that problem, I am going to hold the lever and I will put it in, and you can see the green light is now flashing red. And then it's that easy for it to come back out. Now I'm able to hold it in place very carefully, and it's showing that there is an electric charge in this outlet. It would be nice if this display screen were to rotate 180 degrees at this point so that it's easier to read, because the outlet is on the wall and the probe is on the bottom of the device. So it's harder to read, but it is showing that there is electricity. Now let's try moisture measure. To do this, I will flip the device over, push this red button, and as you can see, the probes popped out right here. I'll flip them around, lock them in, come back over to this side and hit
Moisture measure.
Moisture measure. This piece of wood has been sitting outside in the yard. 8.9%. 7.9% for the one that's been in the garage. This function for the device can be really handy if you need to know what the moisture content is for wood before you do any woodworking, because sometimes if you use wood that is too damp, it will end up warping and changing its shape after you build something out of it, which can ruin the like a table or whatever you're making. Another thing would be if you suspect maybe there is moisture damage, like maybe around a shower or inside a bathroom, and you want to check behind, in the tile grout or something, to see if it's holding moisture in there. This might be a handy tool to see if you have potential mold damage or something like that. That's what I would recommend using this function on this tool for. And one more function that is not on the main menu but is on this device is a flashlight. There is a flashlight right here. You will just push this button on the side, and that can be really handy when you're working, let's say up in an attic or in a dark space and you just need a quick flashlight. Thanks for watching woodworkfamily.com. Hit that thumbs up button if you like this video, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below for more videos like this in the future. If you want to see another video, go ahead and click right here.